All right, so here we go. So supplemental topics, this is what we're going to kind of cover. So if you want to, quick look, this information is just short snippets, things we feel like are reminders. The KSIS newsletter also went out today, so some of this information might be covered in that too. So we'll go through some of it very quickly. And then we want to leave a little bit of time for some questions if you have any more. So, as far as active year change, if you're wondering when you should do that, do it. Go for it. It's time you can go ahead and change your active year. It really, just changes which enrollment's highlighted. But just cautionary note is that you may want to limit access to the portal until scheduling is complete, because if you don't do that, folks can kind of see what's going on while you're working through scheduling. And you'll get a lot more calls that way, probably. Please, it's an optional feature, but it's recommended that you have campus run the Kentucky enrollment script in your district. If you haven't already done that, oops, gone the wrong way. You should just have that done, go through campus support to get that done. And there is more information on this in the KSIS newsletter from May. So. The scope year change, that's something that KDE does. When we change the scope year, it changes what syncs to state edition. And you're like, why do we care about that? But it does help for us to get us the best quality data that we can in the system at the district level before we change scope year, because that's what everything's syncing right now. And there'll just be limited capability to manually sync. So we put this off until early August. That'll get us through a lot of the school report card, at least the safety data review, and any changes that happen there, those will automatically sync to state edition. It's important for our reporting, whether it be federal or state reporting, that the data at the state level is as high quality as possible. Campus learning. Pleased to say we have about half of our districts that'll participate in campus learning, so that's pretty awesome. But it's not too late. You can still sign up. This is one of those things that there's very different ways to take advantage of campus learning. Whether you take full advantage of all the features or you're looking at interoperability. But this training is more targeted. We've got some training already out there. Available to you in campus that's Kentucky specific. So if you've missed it, you've had people out over the summer that weren't able to participate, you can go back and watch some of that campus learning training. The sessions that are coming up in August, and the reason they're in August, you might be saying, August is awful busy. The intent is that the folks that need it will be back in August, and we're breaking these up into like 1-hour sessions. So it might be different people in your district that need to be involved. In your role, we really depend on you to help get the word out. This is something that teachers, coaches, curriculums, maybe some principals might benefit from some of this information that on-campus learning and the functionality is available. There's a lot more detail on each of these sessions that's available. It's gone out on the campus site in campus learning for Kentucky campus learning materials. It's also gone out, there's KSIS notification, and it will be available. I think it's already available on the KSIS training site. So you've got multiple areas to get more information on these. Campus learning interoperability. We have a question that's come in from a few of our districts, and we'd really like to hear from more of you about that. Right now, for cloud resources, if you've got your curriculum stored into a resource library and stuff like that, if you're using Google Drive, that is supported. So you can pull some resources into campus learning from your Google Drive. What's not supported right now is the Microsoft OneDrive integration. We've had some districts interested in that. Campuses asked, how big of a demand is this? So if it's something you're interested in, I would encourage you to submit a ticket to campus support. You can reach out to Lisa Keeter or myself and, explain to us how you'd want to use it too. But I know we've had at least 2 districts, maybe Lisa might have had more than that have reached out to me already and said it would be really helpful to be able to have this OneDrive integration similar to what's available for the Google Drive. So, campus is looking at us to say, how big a demand is this? I mean, everybody has to prioritize. It's a perfectly acceptable question to ask. But we don't want this to get confused with the One Roster Data Exchange, because the One Roster Data Exchange is really actually, the opposite. The the roster and grade data exchange with through one roster, it works for Microsoft Teams, so the Microsoft product, and it also works for a number of other third-party learning management systems. So you may have one that, if you haven't already, you want to look in, being able to exchange your roster information to an LMS and the information coming back from an LMS on grades back into Campus without a lot of manual work. But for Google Classroom, it's not available. Campus is ready, but Google Classroom right now is not one roster certified. So if you want to see that functionality, best thing you can do is put some pressure on Google. I think at this point it's in their hands. Campus learning, campus online registration. We've got some just-in-time question and answer sessions. These are really specific to like your processing questions. So you may have had folks that were involved in the online registration that have done a great job getting it going, but now you've got folks that are processing registrations online, and maybe they've come up with some different questions. These are great opportunities to ask those questions. So Campus has offered these additional trainings. We hadn't really expected these initially, but we much appreciate the time they're given to making sure that this online registration implementation goes smoothly. So please pass this information on to the people that are working on online registration in your schools, because this is a great opportunity for them to get their questions answered. Civil rights data collection. This might be the best news you get all day. The Office of Civil Rights is postponing the civil rights data collection. So we thought we would all be doing reporting for the 2019-20 school year, but now we don't. Now we're not. So we won't be busy with that this year. They are delaying it 1 year, so they expect to do the collection for the 2021 school year. What that means is they're going to push back all of their collections. So, it'll continue to be a biennial collection, but the years will just change. There is information on the CRDC website with additional information. There's a public comment period, too, that's going on right now. So if you've got things that with the Office of Civil Rights and CRDC data collection, which you feel like they shouldn't be collecting, or it's not clear what they're collecting, this is an opportunity, and there's some targeted questions that they're asking districts. So take advantage of the opportunity to provide them some feedback through this public comment period if you're so inclined. We do have, and Amy mentioned this earlier today in the data visualization for the count of days removed. This is a new report. It's going to help districts track and the number of days students have missed. I'm not going to go into it in any more detail. She's done that. So, but just be aware this is a new report in the data visualization tool. Guess what I just did? I just closed it, I think. Ryan, can you open that slide back up?
Dee Dee, I still see it.
Okay.
I still see them too.
It was down in the corner. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe that's what happened to Becky too. It just went down. I hit something that went down to the corner. E-transcript reminders. Batch functionality requires PESC mapping, so make sure that diploma type and difficulty level have been mapped. This is code defining, must be done each year. Copy the prior year codes from that you've used in the past. Makes it the easiest process for you. Just a reminder, and help us remind counselors that they should be generating e-transcripts this in the next 2 weeks. The free transcripts are no longer available as of August 1st, because Parchment looks at those at that point in time that students are alumni. And it's important to remember that the transcripts must include the graduation date and the code to be considered final. If post-secondary schools get those transcripts and they don't have both, they don't consider them final, and that's often causes students to have to request an additional transcript and have to pay for it, that we don't want to see happen. And Infinite Campus invoices did go out in April. They are due by April 15th, so you might want to check with your finance office to see if they've already been paid. If they can't locate it, it's a wide gap, and we ask Campus to give us as much time as possible to pay, so districts can decide whether they pay them in the current year or prior year, depending where there's more funds. So, but if you can't find the invoices, do send us an email to KDE data request at education.ky.gov, and we can send you a copy of them. We have a copy of all of them. I've gotten a lot of questions about campus learning and online registration. And if you've paid campus learning online registration, once KDE makes that payment, Infinite Campus will be free funding that. I think some districts have opted just to kind of remove that line item and pay the net amount. And I think that works too. KSIS Eligibility Report. Please use the KSIS Eligibility Report at the beginning of the school year to identify ineligible students, especially with all the different scheduling. You want to make sure that the students do have the minimum of 5 credits to be qualified for KSIS and while they're in high school. And keep in mind that the experience-based work, only one of those courses does count. So you can make some adjustments early on in the school year so that you don't have a student that finds out a little too late that they might not be eligible. Kentucky Academic Standards. Infinite Campus is working on importing the Kentucky Academic Standards. The process the Infinite Campus built allowed every district to go out and pull those from the CASE system. But we felt like with just creating a blank rubric, we could work with campus and actually load those for all districts. It won't mess anything up that you've already done. But we've run into a little bit of snags trying to work through those. But we still expect that to be done by the end of July. If you do need the academic standards loaded into Infinite Campus before then, you can go out and import the academic standards. And there's a link in this presentation and other notifications that have gone out on how to do that. People Role Manager, that system is a system that many of your WAPOCs use. And if you don't know who your WAPOC is, you can go to the open house site, and the school and district data provides the WAPOCs at the district level. Really, it's important to keep information or your contact information correct. As an example, we just sent out information to the Safe Schools contacts because the school report card has opened up for their review of the safety data. And with that, we use what information is in People Role Manager to contact those. We also use People Role Manager to indicate who your principals and superintendents are to be put on the school report card. So if they're not right, the information that goes out is not going to be right, or you could miss important information. So it is important. So we ask a lot of different folks to make sure that as they look at their online school directory, that the information is correct. Once it's updated, it updates real time, so you can immediately see that your up-to-date took place. The school report card, it did open up today for the school safety review and approval, and the approval period goes through July 31st. And during the same time, the school report card collection tool opens, and that's for the school level data. So schools will enter that information that will populate precautionary measures, populates community involvement, as well as all the school profile data that has to be reported annually. So there is some additional time into August for that. There won't be any accountability data this year, but the non-accountability data will be available August 5th through September 11th for review. And then we're still expecting what little assessment data and graduation data there's reviewed to be available mid-September, with a late September release, which is what we try for every single year, still expected. If you're wondering what COVID-19 has impacted school report card, there is a document on the school report card resources page, and it does go through all the information in school report card and what will and will not be reported. There's also setup instructions. If you've got folks that need access to the school report card, you can get that information from that system, or that document. So we really encourage schools and districts to start looking at their data now. Don't wait for it to get loaded. If the data is loaded and it's cleaner when it goes into the school report card, it'll be less work on the last end. In the long run. There is a school report card quality assurance worksheet that's available that will kind of walk you through some of the reports that are available that can help you validate data. School safety data has already been entered, but even beyond that, some of the other reports can be reviewed so that when their data is loaded in early August, that data is going to be cleaner and be ready for approvals. Single sign-on is something that we've been working on for the last year. We kind of stopped pushing it forward on it with all the COVID-19. I think a lot of the schools and districts had planned on doing it this summer, and you all, I have to say, you've been much busier with a lot of other things at that point. So we've not done it. It's not, we're still working on it. Just want to know that work effort's continuing. Student records transfer, there is a House Bill 312 that went into effect this year about improving the student records transfer process. If you have ideas on improving that process, please reach out to us, put a ticket into campus. We're working with campus on some improvements, but specifically it's around foster care students, about really making sure those students' records transfer are processed very quickly. So there is a new report coming. We'll provide more information when that is available, but really work with the people that are processing your student records transfers to get those processed as quickly as possible. It just helps, your students, and it's whether you're requesting the records quickly or whether releasing records quickly. It's important on both ends. The SQL 2016 conversion, Becky sent information out. Please, mark your calendars for your date for the conversion. It will take place over the Christmas holiday or the winter holiday, so that we can try to limit that. We reached out to a number of districts and they felt like that was the best time, and campus is making that happen for us. Staff locator, staff records, remember, same thing as students, don't create duplicate records. Use the staff locator to be able to create a record. I think Becky was going to mention something here about students that have been staff. And Becky, can you speak up on that?
Yes. We get asked a lot if they need to create a new record if a former student is now a teacher. The answer to that is no. You already have the person record there for that student. So now that they are part of your staff, give them a local staff number, give them a district employment record and an assignment record. Don't create a different person record for them. That will create a duplicate record in the system.
Another staff area that needs some attention is the Epsp Id numbers. Those identification numbers that need to be entered when a new teacher is put into the system. That data is used to match teachers amongst various systems. Without that, it makes it very difficult to do that. It also is used in the teacher turnover data. So if your teacher turnover data is not good, it could be that the fact that you've got some missing teacher Epsp Id numbers. So do take a look at the Census Teacher Information Data Standard for information on how it should be entered, and keep that in consideration if you're looking through towards trying to figure out why things aren't matching when you get into teacher data. Teacher turnover, I just mentioned, but there is a teacher turnover details report that will review details of your teacher turnover calculation. This is a static table that we actually pull the data. If you find there's problems with it and you have to go back and enter Epsp IDs and you need us, you're going to have to reach out to us to let us know that we need to refresh this data. It doesn't pull directly from Infinite Campus. It pulls from a static table. So do reach out to us if there's problems that you find on the teacher turnover data. Last thing is the user access. This is always a reminder we say is verify the users in your system have the appropriate access they need. You may find that you've got users that no longer need access. They're gone. Go ahead and end date them. Make sure they don't have access. If you're using single sign-on, you've got extra precautionary in there. If you've already let them go out of Active Directory, they can't get into campus any longer. But if you're not single sign-on, then you do need to definitely make sure that they're end dated here. And also those students, those staff that have moved and switched positions. They switched positions. What they needed in one role might not be what they need today. They may need less permissions, or they may need more permission. So there is a report, the Active User Account Access Usage Report, that you can use to see who has access to what and make those changes in Infinite Campus. It's 3 o'clock, and I know we had a 3 o'clock deadline. That is the last one of these. So I kind of whizzed through those. We will leave Soapbox open. So if you have more questions around these kind of things, we'll continue to answer those in Soapbox for another half hour or so. But I want to thank everybody for participating. We had over 200 people participate most of the day. That's a huge number, and I know your time is very valuable, and you've spent a lot of it with us today. So thank you. I thank all the presenters. Becky, Linda, Ryan, everybody involved, Andy, Megan for setting all this up and all the work that goes in behind the scenes. And most of you don't see, but it is very much appreciated all they do. So thanks, everybody. Stay safe, take care, and enjoy the rest of your summer.